And then boom, came to me. Download, Illuminate. Illuminate is the name, and it's a film festival, and we're going to do this in 9 months. And so I had magically met 9 people who all had what I saw to be really valuable skills. Only one of those 9 people had ever even attended a film festival, so they really kind of even didn't really know how it goes. But I trained those 9 people to do the 9 jobs necessary to launch a film festival in 9 months. And we had thought, okay, we know we have something if, let's say, we just get 500 people in seats in year 1. And we will really have something if we can, with our very limited funds. I'm going to say we had a $1,000 marketing budget, right? And I mean, grassroots, talking about grassroots. So could we get at least a handful of people like to come from across Arizona state lines, right? I mean, we were already here in Sedona. We were doing a conscious film festival. The purpose of the festival is to elevate consciousness and inspire lasting change on a personal level, on a social level, and a planetary level. And I thought, okay, we might have something if like we could lock in a world premiere, meaning the first time an audience has ever seen a film, like by the 3rd year. I mean, there are tens of thousands of film festivals in the world, and they all compete for that world premiere the first time, right? An audience gets to see something. So I thought, okay, and the most important part about this was that I had done a year of prep to be in my highest frequency, to be completely connected with the universe, and to be co-creating with that universe so that the universe could come in and give and provide the magical synchronicities that we didn't even know was possible.
Hi, my name is Zenka Caro, and I'm founder of LightNet, and my passion and purpose is to remove the word impossible from your mind. I am here today with Danette Wolpert Holman, who is the founder of the Illuminate Film Festival. It's an 11-day festival, which is happening in May. I am going to be there. So is Emmanuel, Laura, Mariko. The whole movement is supporting as a sponsor the Illuminate Film Festival because we believe in storytelling and we believe in Danette. She has been bringing incredible cinema to us over the many years of this film festival. The first day of the festival is going to be an industry hive day. I'm going to go to that. It's a workshop for writers, directors, filmmakers, distributors, soundtrack artists, writers, everything, right? It's a chance for those filmmakers to get together, to network, and to learn things. Then we kick off the festival, and for 3 days, we're doing yoga workshops, parties, films, and more. And then the online festival kicks off through the May 11th. So we are excited to support Danette's incredible festival and really honor her life in this interview. This is an incredible interview that talks about how she went from being a highly paid consultant, successful international Fortune 500 consultant, to living the life of her dreams. This is an incredible story. I hope to see you all at the illuminatefilmfestival.com is where you can find it, because we'll be there to enjoy and relish in the incredible stories that are changing our world.
I discovered my purpose to be elevating consciousness and inspiring lasting personal transformation and social and planetary transformation through media and film. And it's a twofold question for me. Because at some point I asked, well, why do I want to do that? And I really felt like my purpose had a doing component and a being component. And so the being component becomes a true grounding of that purpose in who I am becoming. And so my purpose is also to evolve into my highest form, which is really just a remembering of the true self. So the doing part is a lot of fun. It is has been manifested in the Illuminate Film Festival. And the Illuminate Film Festival is an organization that I founded in 2014 after truly coming to realize that really I am intending to be an instrument of, elevating consciousness in the world. And at the time, I was searching. And to be honest, back even in my college days and in my young professional days, in my early 20s, I used to watch programs like Oprah, let's say, and I used to watch Remembering Your Spirit, which was a sort of a segment on Oprah that was really, I didn't understand it to be spiritual at the time. I understood it to be more of just a connecting with yourself as a human, right? Because I wasn't on a spiritual path at that time. But I remember thinking, well, this is really all about understanding your own human potential. And I used to see her guests, and her guests had really found their purpose, and they were doing something magnificent in the world, and they were truly tapping into their own potential. And I thought this regularly, when am I going to be the one to take that leap and do what they're really meant to be doing? And, I, at the time, was, an IT consultant. And I enjoyed that job. My mind was, my mind was in healthy action all the time. I was really solving problems. I was, certainly climbing the ladder according to, corporate career life, and doing all the things, right, that society really supported. But I still had that question. It was like, when am I going to be the person to take the leap to go do what they're really meant to be doing? And so one day at, a major client in Chicago, I was, engaged in my business process re-engineering when I looked over to a table next to me, and there was a magazine open. And it was actually an image of this woman kind of living her own dream. And it looked like, obviously her passion was unparalleled. I mean, she was actually like scaling a mountain, right? There was like, if she fell, it was like, 1,000 feet fall. And nobody does that unless it is truly, right, in them, coming through them, it is they're being called. And I thought to myself, like, am I there? Is that, is what I'm doing right now compelling me? Is it calling me? Is it a soulful call? And I realized that the answer was no. And that was despite the fact that I had worked my whole early life. I was that like straight A kid. I was like the president of the student council. I did all the things. I was supposed to do to arrive at where I actually was, right? I was a senior consultant now. I was highly respected. I was traveling all over the world, consulting with Fortune 500 companies as to how they should do this or that. And the answer was no. And then the next question, of course, is, well, then what is? And so I made a decision, And I jumped ship with the intention that I was going to give myself 1 year to dabble in 3 potential careers that called to me. And those 3 potential careers were like, I determined what those were by tapping into that teenager self that used to watch Oprah's Remembering Your Spirit and going, well, how can I like tap into humanity's potential and then help people find themselves? And so at the end of that year, I said, well, I'm either going to not find it and then just go back to my very solid, lucrative career, or I'm going to find it and I'm going to take the leap. And so at the end of that year, after having done 3 things that I really enjoyed, film just called me. And film called me because next to having an actual physical experience somewhere, film is the next best way to create that experience, even if you can't go to the Mount Everest, right? Even if, your life doesn't allow you to go and travel the world or whatever it is, film can help people in ways that I believe no other medium can. And it can inspire people. It can educate people. It could influence people. It could open up their consciousness. It can change their perception, their worldview. It can inspire. It can, enlighten, and it can create change. And that's because it's sensory in the ways that you can see, you can hear, right? And you can feel. You can feel a character's journey, right? That a character in a film. You can resonate with a documentary subject whose story is being told. You can experience what it's like to be in a country, right? In a natural disaster, in a, and that to me offers the greatest palette of change. And that's what I wanted to do in the world. And so I went into film. And then it was a matter of, okay, well, what part of this whole film process is me? And I worked, in production, and then I did a few of my own projects, very simple projects. And then I worked at a film festival. And when I worked at that film festival, the very first festival, I realized that the sweet spot for me was right at the intersection between the art, meaning the film, and the audience. And I could see how that story was impacting its audience. And I could see the tears. I could see the laughs. I could see people's expressions that to me meant that was profoundly resonating with somebody. I could see that it was bringing people joy. I could see that it was opening up people's sadness, because sometimes that's important. I could see the power of film. And I thought, well, if I could curate the right collection of storytelling, how powerful that could be. And so I went on the road of learning, what film festivals are all about, how they're run, how they're curated, right? Like all the things, the operational and the artistic and the, fundraising, the executive, and then blah, blah, blah. So I was still feeling the call. At this point, I had been in festivals for a few years, and I had made my way up to sort of associate director at the Miami Film Festival, which was, again, okay, I'm closer to my purpose, right? I'm closer, I'm doing it. And I realized after 5 years of getting to sort of the place I wanted to be at the Miami Film Festival, I also realized that I had kind of reached a plateau. And that plateau was, Miami Film Festival had its own mission, and it was there to support most, Ibero-American cinema, and sure, we would have some incredible, inspiring, uplifting, paradigm shifting movies, and then right next to it, we would have like a Cuban zombie movie, and that's all part of like the Ibero-American mission, but it was not my mission. It was not my purpose. I realized that I was closer, but I wasn't quite living my purpose yet. And after 5 years there, I jumped ship again. But this time, I didn't have a plan. And the only thing that was guiding me at that point was this spark of spirituality. And at Miami Film Festival, I met somebody who sort of lived a certain way. And I was fascinated by the way she was living. And I was like, teach me. I told her, teach me what it is you're doing. And she's like, I can't. You have to go find it yourself. And she was a spiritual person, not religious, but spiritual person. And there was this magic about her. Like, she knew things, about herself, about other people, about what was about to happen. I mean, one day she asked me, because she was the head of theater operations there, and she asked me one day, do you have a flashlight and a t-shirt? And I was like, why would I have a flashlight and a t-shirt? We were in the office. And she's like, well, because this was during the festival, and we had like a major guest, right? A major filmmaker and actor, coming to our big main venue that night. And she's like, I don't know, but I know that I have to have batteries and a t-shirt. Okay. And I'm of course curious as to like, okay, where is this going? And sure enough, that night at the Miami Film Festival, a volunteer snags his shirt on like the sconces, in this old historic theater. And it's like all ripped. And of course, anyone have a t-shirt? And then, as the main guest is being walked down the, theater aisle to be, sat in their reserved seating, right? The flashlight goes out because the batteries are dead, right? So this was one of those, no way. Are you for real? No way. And this is when I started to learn about connection and about intuition, and that our brains are doing a very small percent of what they're capable of. But when you are truly, really tuned in and connected to the universe, that intuition strengthens, and there's a whole nother way to live your life. But I had to go out and figure out how. And so I left my job at the Miami Film Festival, and I decided I would give myself a year to travel and find the answers. And that whole year, I went all through South America and South Africa, all over. And it led me to Sedona, which is where I live now. And it led me to get some clarity on what my purpose truly was and how it was going to manifest. Because I knew I wanted to be of service. And I now knew that there were ways to empower people and their lives that were like, it was almost like these secrets, like the secret of intuition, like the secret of feeling connected to all things, and the secret that when you are in that zone, in that high frequency, that magical things happen every day, that things you didn't even know were possible just happen, that you have deja vu, like you've experienced something before, that all these magical things start manifesting. And so from this whole year, not only had I learned about these things and tuned into, from a very spiritual place, what my soul is being called to, but those things were now guiding me. It was like I did a year of prep for my purpose to finally come together and reveal itself. So sometimes I think it's more about listening. Sure, we could be searching, but I think in terms of searching for your purpose, the ultimate step is going to be listening. And it's going to be finding where your highest frequency is, finding where your joy is, finding where, when you start asking yourself why you do things, and then just listening. And so, yeah, when I came to Sedona, I took part in a million different things. I mean, I went to, I had Reiki sessions, and I did yoga, and I went to Korean drumming, and I went to kirtan, and it was this really kind of incredibly spiritually resourced place where I could be in what I call my highest frequency. And from there, one day was just a download. I was in a session, and the practitioner was doing a meditation. It was sort of a ceremony, right? He had some sound vibration going on, and a download came to me. It was this vision of a whole team working together to produce something. It wasn't immediately clear what it was, but it was a scheduled event of some sort. And the most critical part about the vision was that as we were creating something that was going to elevate consciousness in the world, we ourselves were elevating consciousness within. And that each of us were supporting our own personal journeys of evolution as we were preparing to do that very same thing for other people, for the wider public. And that was the vision. And at that point, it wasn't even clear that it was a film festival, but it became clear very soon after that, in just asking myself, well, what do I love? What's the intersection of what I love and what I know how to do, right? That is also in line with this sort of soul calling. And then boom, came to me, download, Illuminate. Illuminate is the name, and it's a film festival, and we're going to do this in 9 months. And so I had magically met 9 people who all had what I saw to be really valuable skills. Only one of those 9 people had ever even attended a film festival, so they really kind of even didn't really know how it goes. But I trained those 9 people to do the 9 jobs necessary to launch a film festival in 9 months. And we had thought, okay, we know we have something if let's say we just get 500 people in seats in year one. And we will really have something if we can, with our very limited funds. I'm going to say we had a $1,000 marketing budget, right? And I mean, grassroots, talking about grassroots. So could we get at least a handful of people like to come from across Arizona state lines, right? I mean, we were already here in Sedona. We were doing a conscious film festival. The purpose of the festival is to elevate consciousness and inspire lasting change on a personal level, on a social level, and a planetary level. And I thought, okay, we might have something if like we could lock in a world premiere, meaning the first time an audience has ever seen a film, like by the third year. I mean, there are tens of thousands of film festivals in the world, and they all compete for that world premiere the first time, right? An audience gets to see something. So I thought, okay. And the most important part about this was that I had done a year of prep to be in my highest frequency, to be completely connected with the universe, and to be co-creating with that universe so that the universe could come in and give and provide the magical synchronicities that we didn't even know was possible. And that is what happened. We didn't put 500 people in seats. We put 2,700 people. We didn't just attract 5 people from across state lines. We attracted an audience with our $1,000 marketing budget from like 27 states and 11 countries. And we didn't just hope for a world premiere in year 3. We had 4 world premieres in year 1, including a film called Death Makes Life Possible, which was executive produced by Dr. Marilyn Schlitz and Deepak Chopra. And both of them came and did the post-film program, which was incredible. And there was you could hear a pin drop in that room because it was resonating with so many people. And that's when I knew. That's when I knew I had really, truly found my purpose. And that I was an instrument. I really, truly believe that, purpose, again, is something you hear. It's something that's a part of you. And if you're truly, truly listening and in connection with the universe, that you will be selected to be the vehicle, the instrument, the channel for whatever is supposed to manifest. And that's how you really know you're in your purpose. You're in alignment with your purpose. So why do we have only 10% of the population truly feeling in alignment with their purpose, or even knowing that they have one? I think it's because we as a society have offered so many different values and ways of living. And I think the idea that the most important thing that we could do is actually tune in is not the common way of life. I think we're always looking at the external. I think we're starting with the whole mindfulness movement and the meditation movement as a society to start looking, Western society. I think Eastern philosophies have been there for a long time. I think Western societies, we've just gotten very distracted in consumeristic points of worldviews and models of success that have to do with money, status, power, fame. And I think that those are real distractions. Because even though, right, like, oh, lots of people want to be a famous actress. Well, is the reason you want to be a famous actress because you want to be famous or you want to be an actress? Those are two very different things. I think the fame is like, sort of like this shiny, sparkly candy. I think being an actress might be somebody's true purpose, right? And I think, sometimes we get a little lost. And that's okay, because this is the society we live in, right? We're all human, and this is what we have created as a collective. But I think that there is really true power in really understanding this intuition part. Really understanding that that comes from being really connected to the whole universe and listening for what your part in that universe might be. And when you are connected and listening, like I said earlier, that is when the magic happens. And I think that's when it becomes evident that you are a vehicle or you are an instrument. And that, whatever a combination of your soul, sort of like your soul's desire, and also, your skills, and your soul, skills, and desires, right? It's a confluence of those three things. And it becomes very apparent when you've done the inner work and you find yourself in a connected place. Nobody said living your purpose is easy. And here's where actually, I mentioned that I think purpose has two components, like a doing and a being component. Because, I would say that, I've been like the instrument for the Illuminate Film Festival for now 12 years. And I would say that the years that I was really in the highest frequency and in my highest connected place, it was so smooth and magical, and the universe just came in and made things happen, total co-creation. And it was a lot of ease and flow. And then there were other years when I was in lower frequency emotions, right? I was like, oh my gosh, are we going to fill seats? Oh my gosh, do we have the right films? Do we have the right guests? Whatever it might be, or maybe even personal things happening, or maybe even health issues. When you're in your low frequency, things become harder. And the magic doesn't happen, and it feels a little bit like you're rolling a boulder up the hill. So what I have always recognized is that, I am the channel, I am the vehicle for the Illuminate Film Festival, which is something that was meant to happen. It was meant to elevate consciousness in the world through storytelling. And it was not just for everybody else, it was also for me. And Illuminate became my teacher. And it has fueled my own personal growth. It has fueled my own spiritual journey. It has shown me the importance of managing my life so I'm in a high frequency, because it's only at that point where I can create the magic for everybody else and also for myself. And yeah, there were years that I completely burned out. And there were years that, life had some hard lessons to teach me. And even one that led to, a brain tumor and brain surgery, and having to actually just turned the whole festival over to my managing director for almost a year, and really taking a look at, why there was illness in my life. And I will tell you this, though. That I was fortunate enough to have a miraculous recovery from that brain tumor and that condition. And I know that the universe came in to co-create that miracle with me. I also know that I had a part in that. And that healing journey could have only happened, and it did only happen, because I had programmed 5 years of the most powerful, paradigm shifting, empowering films about health, about healing, about the mind-body connection, about nutrition, about energy, about self-awareness, about inner inquiry, about emotional release, about the connection between all of that. And that's when I realized, right, that I didn't just start Illuminate to help everybody else. Apparently, all of that was for me too. And that is also when you know you're truly aligned in your purpose. And that is also the being part. So, yes, am I elevating consciousness through this work to create change elsewhere and out in the world and for others and being of service? 100%. But it is also calling me to be my best self, my most evolved self, for me to be able to embody my true nature, which is love, which is self-love and love for others. And that healing was required. All of that self-love, and it required me to step up and step into complete faith, and into looking into whatever obstacles were in me that was preventing me from being in full health, and really looking in deep into that inner inquiry process, and deep into the emotional work, and deep into the spiritual work. And then understanding my inner landscape and letting go whatever didn't serve me, and then being able to rise back into full health again. And so how is that not an affirmation that I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing? For those who are still searching, I would recommend 3 things. I would recommend, number 1, have courage to take a leap. If you are still holding on to the safety of other things, it doesn't leave a lot of space for you to really be in discovery. I mean, sure, you might need some way of making money just while you are in that discovery, or maybe you save a little so that you can take a clean leap. But you have to have enough faith to let go a little and make the space for the leap, even if you don't even know what you're leaping to. Number 2 is do the inner work. I know that could be super scary. And, people are really nervous to lift the hood because I'm not really sure they want to see what's under there. But I'm going to tell you right now that what's under there is a being of love. we all have all kinds of stuff, all kinds of wounding and garbage and all this stuff that we don't want to carry. But that's what makes everything so possible, is that we can decide whether to carry it or whether to put it down. And if you are truly doing that work, you are opening yourself up to the connection that is going to guide you. And it's going to guide you into a place of purpose and certainty. And number 3 is have fun, baby. Is once you feel the guidance in your life, and you know, because the magical synchronicities are going to start to happen. So what I mean by have fun is like bring enough of that alignment and joy into your life so that your frequency remains as high as possible. Yeah, it's going to dip. You know what I mean? We're human. We have our ups and downs. But if we are having fun and if we are in our joy, then we stay up here. We stay in the realm of magical possibilities, and we stay in the realm of the universe is just coming in to support me, right? And we find ourselves in ease and flow. And that is only, it's a reaffirming, self-reaffirming loop, because once you are there in your joy, it just reaffirms your purpose, and then you have an even greater impact. Living one's purpose is a gift to others. And can we fully know exactly what our impact has been? Not entirely, but you can feel it when gratitude comes back to you. When others' gratitude is shown, and it's like a treat to know how others are lifted, or how they are invited into transformation. And I could say that I'm really, really lucky that it just so happened to be right, that I actually got a physical event to get all the great feedback from. It may just be, people's lives, that it's like, it's just how your family might respond, or, what your daughter chooses, or, what your colleague, decides to do. But for me, I was lucky enough to have, honestly, hundreds of people approach me over the years and just say, this festival changed my life, or this film changed my life, or this discussion after the film changed my life. And honestly, that is the most reaffirming thing one can receive, because you just know, once again, you're doing what you're meant to be doing on the planet. And when I just got a text the other day from a filmmaker who was in Illuminate many, many years back. And he said, hey, I was just inspired to submit a short. Our deadline was just recently. I was just inspired to submit another short after all these years. And he said, and I just have to tell you, Danette, can I just tell you that that Illuminate changed the trajectory of my life? And his name is Nick. And I said, well, how, Nick? And he said, well, I was living in a van when you programmed my first, feature documentary. And I rolled up to the festival living in a van with doubts as to whether, this was like the right path for me, even, because clearly it wasn't very abundant. And first of all, it was an unbelievable film. And that that's a whole nother tangent. But that film created like a mini movement. And like I couldn't even go to the grocery store 10 days later and not have people coming to me talking about it. And he said to me, by the way, we did two of our exceptional like filmmakers, Peter Rader and Paula DeFlorio, they're filmmakers of Awake, The Life of Yogananda. They offer at many of our festivals a source to screen lab for filmmakers to help them develop projects from a conscious space. And, Nick didn't even have the money to enroll in that program. And he reminded me of this. I almost didn't even remember this, but he said, Danette, do you remember when I went up to you and had like stars in my eyes about that program, but that I couldn't afford, and that I said, hey, listen, I know I really shouldn't be doing this, right? Because we ourselves had a budget to worry about, but Nick, I'm doing this because you're you. And I enrolled him in that program, and we just covered the costs. And he said, that is when, from that came major jobs. And actually, Peter and Paula hired him to do several projects, including write and direct his first feature narrative film. And he said, I was paid more than I was ever paid in my life. And it totally affirmed that I was meant to be a conscious storyteller, and that my medium was film, and that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. And that's just one out of, I gotta say, about like 100 stories that just make me go, hey, universe, thanks. So if we were all living our purpose, wouldn't we be like living the dream life together? It is such a beautiful feeling, right? To know that you've come to the planet for a reason and that you're doing it. And so that level of fulfillment spills out in 100 different ways. And so I think if we really truly all found our purpose, like a lot of what we see out there that, really makes us suffer, the war and the famine and the conflict and the hatred and the this and that, I think it would resolve itself. I mean, that's a big prediction. But I really think we're on our way. I think sometimes we have to take 2 steps back to take 3 steps forward. But I think this whole movement, this whole consciousness movement is really key. It's key to us understanding that we have this connection to the universe. It's key to us understanding that that's what intuition actually is. It's key to us understanding that there's an inner landscape to be explored, and that through that our purpose is there for us and will uplift us and will fulfill us and will spill out into who we are in the world, how we treat others in the world, how we inspire others in the world. And really, to me, that's just one big upward spiral.